My name is Jeannie Feldman, and I started my bodybuilding, I guess, journey career. 2016, I did my first show. I started off as a figure competitor, and I quickly found out that that wasn't my category. And so I qualified for that first show. I qualified for nationals, and I went ahead and did the Miami Nationals in 2017, November, and I got my pro card right after. But before I did nationals, I decided to switch to women's physique. Feedback from the judges was that I was a little too muscular for figure. So then I went ahead and made that change, and it worked out for the better. And I've been bodybuilding since.
So how did you actually find out about the sport of bodybuilding? Who introduced it to you, or where did you kind of learn about it?
Well, originally I was a CrossFitter. I was a competitive CrossFitter for 7 years. And then my husband was a bodybuilder. He competed a few times, and he started coaching people for bodybuilding. At that time, when I was doing CrossFit, I wasn't too interested, but then I started getting, tired with my body hurting too much with CrossFit and taking a beating on my body. So I decided, you know what, let's give it a shot. He did a show that year and I watched him, and so I figured I could do it, give it a shot and see where it goes from there. And I did my first show and it just took off from there.
And then, like you were saying, CrossFit, a lot of people enjoy CrossFit, but it does, I feel like, puts a toll on your body after a while, because the training is so intense. That's also
kind of the repetitiveness of movements that I just didn't want to get injured, and my body was starting to feel too fatigued, and I figured I needed a change.
So a lot of people would say that bodybuilding training is pretty intensive in and of itself. How did the switch up on training? How did you handle that?
I think I liked it. It was a little slower pace, but it was a different type of intensity. Mm-hmm. So I still felt like I was getting that, good workout, that intensity that I wanted, but in a different way. I think that CrossFit taught me how to embrace pushing myself to beyond the limits, or as much as my body can handle. That's what I learned from CrossFit, which I thought was, a good thing. And the diet and bodybuilding is completely different. That was a shocker to me. That was hard.
Yeah, it's very interesting, the two different groups of people, the two different communities. What do you feel like are some of the similarities and differences of the two communities?
Well, the commitment to the sport, CrossFit also is like, you devote everything to it. It's a lifestyle as well, but maybe the diet is not as strict, but the intensity of the workouts and the focus and the dedication is just as much, if you want to be a good athlete, of course.
And do you think that the CrossFit community, as far as like the diet and nutrition side goes, it's neglected a little bit more, or do you think it's just not as intense as far as like what it is involved for bodybuilding, if that makes sense?
I would say it's both. It's not I didn't focus so much on diet for, losing fat. It was more for fueling your body, eating more so that you have the energy to withstand all those workouts. Because I would do 3-4 workouts a day at least. I would spend 4 or 5 hours a day. Wow. at the gym. So, you eat more because, you're putting your body through a lot more. Whereas bodybuilding is, it's for a different purpose. You're working, you're dieting so that you can show, shed off the fat and show, the hard work that you put in the gym. So it's different. Yeah.
With bodybuilding, it's such it's a sport where I like to think about it like you're showing off all of the things, like all of the small little things that you've done along the way, but you're not doing it in like this athletic way. You're doing it, definitely posing and things like that does take some like athleticism, but you're not doing it in this performance, this like lifting or this, shooting a ball or throwing a ball or whatever kind of way. Right. You're doing it more in like a showcase kind of way, more of like an art kind of piece.
Yeah, so, an art. Exactly. I like to think of it that way.
So how did you have to kind of mentally transition to to being like, okay, well, in CrossFit, it's kind of more of like, if I do this, then I know I'm either going to be in first place or 20th place versus
Right.
in bodybuilding. Sometimes, even though I might go in feeling a certain way, it doesn't really matter as much how I feel about it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, well, the first couple competitions, like I did well, and then I got my pro card right away. So that gave me confidence that I was going to do well in the sport. But then, as you turn pro and then you're like competing against these pros, you get humbled very quickly, So you're like, but the way I took it was if I didn't do well, I did the best that I could
Yeah.
for that. I brought the best look that I could for that stage at that time.
Is there any feeling of like almost you're wondering, you don't have that for sure feeling? Is there any of that because it does switch up from show to show, like depending on what they're looking for, depending on who's up there, all those factors? Does it
Yes,
just kind of weigh on
every
your mind
time.
a little bit?
Every time, every show that I do, even though you feel as confident and you know that this is the best you looked, but you never know, what's going to happen that day. And that last week leading up to getting up to the stage is crucial. So anything can change, whether it be stress and your body holds water or anything like that, anything can change. So there's always a level of doubt or stress, and then, these girls, sometimes they come in even better. Or a lot of times they come even better, especially on the Olympia stage. And, but sometimes they come in not as good, So, but yeah, there's always a sense of you'll never have 100% security that you're going to win that show because you never know what's going to happen.
How do you deal with that? How do you deal with that stress and that uncertainty during prep?
Ugh. It's hard sometimes. It really is. But, the whole thing is to stay calm and stay focused. Do what you got to do. Eat your meals, get your food in, do your training properly, even though, sometimes it's hard. Energy level is low. Sometimes you don't want to do anything and you just want to just veg on your couch and you're that exhausted. But you got to just keep your mind focused and think of the end result of it. And then the worst thing you can do is stress about it and put that stress on your body because cortisol levels and everything that all affects your look at the end of the day.
Looking for a supplement company that's as serious about your fitness goals as you are? Allsport Pharmaceuticals is here to help. Their top-of-the-line supplements are designed to help you get the most out of every workout with ingredients that have been scientifically proven to enhance performance and recovery. Whether you're a seasoned athlete or just starting out on your fitness journey, Allsport Pharmaceuticals has the perfect supplements to help you achieve your goals. Plus, with their commitment to quality and safety, you can trust that you're getting a product that's both effective and reliable. So what are you waiting for? Take your fitness game to the next level with Allsport Pharmaceuticals. Visit the website today to learn more. It's hard for me to even begin to understand like what the potential could be of, and I think we certainly get to see like a very high level of human potential like on the Olympia stage and things, but what that level would be if we could control like all the variables down to like absolute perfection, like what that would look like. I think it'd be crazy.
Yeah, that would be great if we could, but you never know. And every single prep for me is different. You think that you're going to do everything you did the same time, the same way that you did the prep before and get the same result, but it never happens that way. There's always little twists and little things that your body does that that you got to be prepared for and always have a plan A, B, C, and see, where you take it from there.
Yeah, and not even your own body or your own life, but what's going on around you too. I mean,
Right.
certainly things such like the pandemic and COVID, like that's a huge thing. But even smaller things like your car breaks down, or you get
Right.
fired from your job, or you quit your job, or whatever, or your kid gets sick. Like there's an
Everything.
infinite
Yeah.
number of factors that go into like what is going to be standing on the stage.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fortunate enough, my husband is my coach and he understands. So when stuff like that happens, he takes over and helps me out with that. So that way, when I'm, especially, the past, the few weeks before or the month before, when it's very, the stress levels are pretty high, then he helps out with stuff like that. So I'm fortunate that, I can lean on him for that. And him being a coach, he understands Whereas I'm sure that other couples that, if their husband's not into the sport or their partner's not into the sport, then it's tough.
Yeah, for sure. I do talk to a lot of people who have that, like both of them are bodybuilders or one's the coach or whatever, but also the same way that one of them has no, bodybuilding experience. They don't understand the lifestyle. They're still supportive, but they just don't understand it.
I mean, he's been through prep and everything, so he knows exactly what it feels like. So I'm fortunate.
So kind of going back a little bit to when you first started, was bodybuilding something that you saw yourself? Did you start into it like, oh, I'm going to get on the Olympia stage, I'm going to be competitive, or was it this thing to where let's just jump in and let's see what happens?
It was definitely, let's just jump in and see what happens. I was not interested at all. When my husband was doing bodybuilding, I didn't look at it as a sport that I would be interested in. I just figured I'd give it a shot, but I did not expect it to go so well for me. And once I got my pro card, I was like, okay, this is something I think I can be good at. And then I went ahead and did my first pro show a couple months after that, and I placed third. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this is where I need to be. That kind of confirmed it to me, and it's just been great ever since.
And then what are some of those initial challenges or struggles that you faced when you did get into it? And, you're going through the prep or, at post show, like what are some things that you experienced that you just didn't know? So it was hard to kind of deal with them at the time.
Well, definitely the diet part was tough in the beginning, but like you said, you never know what your body is going to do or what to expect as you get closer to the show, how your body's going to respond. So those kind of issues kept popping up, like, oh my God, well, my body's flat, or my this, or I'm not eating enough, or maybe I need to. Those type of situations was new to me. Whereas, like you said, you do CrossFit, you go in there, you feel good, you're gonna rep out as many reps as you can, or do whatever workout is you need to do the fastest you can. It's very simple. Whereas bodybuilding, it was just like very tricky. We always had to plan everything out and make sure that if this doesn't go well, then we jump to plan B or plan C. So that kind of that was something that I had to get used to.
When you made the transition from CrossFit to bodybuilding, I just kind of thought about this. Was there anybody within your life that was like, why did you go from this one extreme thing to this other extreme thing? Like, is that kind of your personality, is to do like something just really hard and challenge yourself? Or were people kind of like, what's going on here?
That's funny because the older I get, I think that I'm very competitive. I didn't think I was when I was younger, but now looking back at it, I guess I was, because everything I do, I jump in, 100%. Like I'm not going to, if I see in the beginning that this is not for me, then I'm not going to put, my energy into it. But if it's something that I feel that I can be good at, I'm going to do it 100%. And I guess I am, somebody that I guess takes risk or not risk, but I guess I'm, very competitive like that. But yeah, a lot of people, my family, my mother, why are you doing this? This is, she questioned it. My family questioned it a little bit, but once they saw that I was doing good at it, then they embraced it.
I think something really interesting that you just said there was, if it's something that you are interested in or you find value in, you're going to commit to it 100%. And I think a lot of people struggle with that, to where they don't exactly know where to go. They don't know what route to take. So they're 10% here, they're 30% in this other thing. And you can't really get anywhere substantial and see any progress in anything if you're not putting a substantial amount of energy in that. And I think, we talk a lot about time management and things like that. But I think a lot of it is actually like energy management and focus management, where you're putting that kind of stuff, because everybody has the same amount of time. It's just a matter of like where people are focusing.
Right. I agree with that 100%. I mean, I think every sport, you have to be 100% dedicated if you want it, if you want to be good at it. You have to, put 100%. Otherwise, you're not going to succeed, especially bodybuilding, because bodybuilding, there's no breaks. It's 24/7. Your life, the minute you wake up all the way to the minute you go to sleep, and your sleep, relies, you're doing good, relies on all that, on how much you focus and how much you put into it. So if you're not going to give it 100%, you're not going to get 100% out of it,
Like you said, it's 24/7, it's 100%.
Yeah.
Where do you, or how do you kind of decompress, if that makes sense at all?
Uh, let's see. I mean, spending time with my family, but honestly, my decompressing, and this may sound, I don't know, maybe most bodybuilders can relate to it, but I love the gym. That's my therapy. If I can go in there and get a good intense workout and, be around my gym people and just, get their support and everything, that to me is that's where I get my energy. That's where I get my fuel to keep on going on. And I just love being in that environment.
So because you have this CrossFit background, it may be you have a lot of kind of experience in this and you may not feel this anymore. Maybe you did at one point. But whenever I'm going in and I know it that like, okay, this specific workout day, whatever it is, maybe it's, a lower body workout, maybe it's a chest or back workout, whatever it is, it's going, I know like it's going, I'm going to have to push myself. I know it's going to be uncomfortable at times, like things like that. And sometimes I don't want to say it's like, it gives me anxiety, but more of like this heightened sense of like, I know what is about to happen. Does that still happen to you going into workouts?
Yes, every leg day. On leg days, I get nervous because I know it's going to be painful, but my legs are pretty much my weakness. If they've gotten better, but that's really where I have to push myself. My upper body develops very easily. So that to me is easy. But when I know it's leg day, I know I'm going to suffer in a good way, but I know it's going to be intense. So yeah, you get a little butterflies in your stomach before you get to the gym. So, but once you get started, it's great.
Yeah. And so when you turn pro, was there any sense of like, oh wow, this is another level. This is like, look at these athletes.
Well, you look around and you're like, oh my God. Sometimes like my first show, I was like, I can't believe I'm here. But my mentality at the time was, on my first pro show, was I'm just going to give it the best that I got. And, I'm just happy to be here. I'm not going to put any pressure on myself. This is my first show. So I'm just going to, see how it goes. And it went well. But, you always, no matter what show it is, you always look around and you're like, wow, she looks great. Or, wow, I can't believe I'm still, I'm standing with these girls, especially on the Olympia stage. You're like, wow, I still have to like, pinch myself sometimes, to believe that I'm actually standing with these girls with the top of the top in the world. And sometimes my husband's like, you realize, you're top 6 in the world. That's amazing. And I'm like, sometimes it doesn't register in my mind, but when I think about it, it's amazing.
Yeah. And what does that feel like to know like, okay, I'm top 6, even top 10 or top 50? Like,
I know, just to be in an Olympia period,
like how does that hit you? How do you, just on a normal day, you wake up, you go, whatever your routine is, you go to the gym. I mean, does it almost carry like a sense of responsibility with it?
Yes, I think it does, definitely. I feel like, when I'm getting for a show, it's like, I feel it's not, I don't only do it for myself, but I can't disappoint the people that believe in me, but the feeling is amazing. It's amazing. And I know that every time I get on that stage, I'm always going to look better than the last time, because that's the commitment that I made. I'll never, it happened to me one time that I didn't like my second Olympia. It didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. And I was holding water. I was stressed a lot, but I just learned what not to do. So that was a lesson for me. But other than that, I know I have a responsibility to go and not let everybody down, and for myself and for everybody else that believes in me. So.
And when you did it, get that Olympia qualification that first time, like, tell us a little bit about what that felt like. What were the emotions and what were the thoughts going through your head?
My first one, I got it by points. There was a point system. I know this year they took it out this year. So I didn't know that I was going to qualify. I did the Tampa Pro. I got second place. I was a little bummed that I didn't win, but I was happy with the fact that, I did, I looked good. I did what I needed to do. We were driving back home because I live in Miami. So we were driving back home and I started getting on Instagram, congratulations, you made it to the Olympia. And I didn't even know yet. But people found out on Instagram before and they were already congratulating me. And that was the best feeling ever.
But how do you mentally prepare to step on that stage, to go through that process, to be able to do it? Because like we were talking about before, if it's too much, if it's too overwhelming and then there's too much stress, it's going to impact. So how do you kind of prepare yourself mentally for that kind of new mountaintop, I guess?
I take it one day at a time. I just know I got to wake up. I got to do this. I just one foot in front of the other is what I like to do. I think of the big picture and I visualize in my mind where I want to be, or visualize winning or being top 3 or top 6. And I visualize that. And I'm a strong believer in that. I think if you think it and if you believe it, it will happen. And everything that I've believed in and everything I've worked for has happened. And I just take one step at a time. I wake up, I do what I got to do. I stay focused. I try not to get, like, when you think too much of it, then you start getting nervous. But as you go through the day and you do what you got to do, and then little by little, the day comes and you're prepared and everything looks good and you're ready to go.
This podcast is sponsored by Smoking Gun Coffee, a veteran-owned coffee company that strives to give back to those in need. Don't forget to use code TWR10 for a 10% discount at checkout.
So standing backstage and being backstage, what is it like to see those other athletes and to know, like, these are people that I'm comparable with now, obviously, because we're at the same show, right? But I still look at them and think these are Olympians. Do you also, at that point, do you feel like you're an Olympian as well? Or like what kind of confidence level did you have kind of back there? And then once you were up on stage?
The first show, I was I was scared out of my mind. The good thing about it is that when you do pro shows, you do get to be on stage with these girls. Some of them, different shows, you get to see what they're, what they look like. You become friendly with them too. But at the first show, it was nerve-wracking. I mean, I had a splitting headache. I was nervous, but I was happy to be there. But looking around, it was impressive. These beautiful women, at that level. And I'm standing there. Like I said, I had to pinch myself. I was like, wow, I'm here. But this last Olympia is really when I felt that I fit in. Like, I made it. I won a show. I made it here by winning a show. I belong. This is the first time that I felt like I really, really belong up there.
What do you feel like you learned from the most from that first Olympia experience that you've carried with you through the last 2?
I learned that, I'm just like them. They're girls that I work just as hard as them. And then, I deserve to be up there too. And I just learned to focus and be more determined to make it there and place better and just go with the flow, not put too much stress and embrace it and take it in and enjoy the moment, because we get so caught up in being stressed out that you don't look around and be like, wow, only afterwards you do that. But I taught myself to relax, enjoy, not stress about it, and just take it one day at a time or one moment at a time and just embrace it.
Looking for a supplement company that's as serious about your fitness goals as you are? All Sport Pharmaceuticals is here to help. Their top-of-the-line supplements are designed to help you get the most out of every workout with ingredients that have been scientifically proven to enhance performance and recovery. Whether you're a seasoned athlete or just starting out on your fitness journey, All Sport Pharmaceuticals has the perfect supplements to help you achieve your goals. Plus, with their commitment to quality and safety, you can trust that you're getting a product that's both effective and reliable. So what are you waiting for? Take your fitness game to the next level with All Sport Pharmaceuticals. Visit the website today to learn more.
And I was actually talking to 2 figure pros yesterday, and they were talking about kind of like their alter ego a little bit, when they're on stage. Do you feel like you have that alter ego, and like how do you mentally put yourself into that alter ego?
Oh, I believe so. Yeah, I think you do have to have an alter ego. You come on that stage and you're a different person. You're like, you're standing in front of those judges. You have to show confidence and everything. I mean, backstage, getting ready, getting pumped up to get on the stage, everything, that's one thing. You're nervous, but once you walk through those curtains, yeah, that's it. You got to switch it on. And that's the moment where I switch it and I'm like, okay, it's stage time. put that big smile on, flex the muscles, do what you got to do to impress the judges, and hopefully not mess up on your routine.
And do you practice getting into that different mindset or that alter ego at other times in your prep as well? Or is it something that you can kind of only do when you're in that specific environment?
I think it's something that you do when you're in that environment, because your adrenaline and everything's just going, at 100 miles per hour. But I do try to practice it when I practice my posing. I try to, but but it's nothing like that feeling like walking on stage on that moment. It just turns on. But I do try to practice it. Yeah.
And then because you've been in multiple Olympias and the goal is always to get better. What have you done over the last several years? Whether that's in regards to your training, your nutrition, your recovery, what have you done to try to, up the game and try to get a little bit better?
Well, my training has definitely changed in a sense that I'm focusing more on isolation and my weaknesses, and not just doing going through the workouts. I really have to focus on things that as you get to the Olympia level, there's minor little details of maybe the glute tie-ins or this or that, but focusing on those small little details that make a huge difference. So my training has changed a little bit with that. Diet, of course, that changes too. We manipulate my diet a little differently, depending on, like my last show with the Tampa Pro and the last Olympia, my diet definitely changed. Like I really, I upped my cardio. I went down on the carbs, so I wanted to come in a lot leaner, and it worked. So definitely the diet and the training did change. Yes.
Right. And then to keep, to keep the body fresh is there anything that you specifically do for your sleep, or is there, implementing a routine, or is there any kind of other recovery modalities that you specifically are like, I have to do this. This is something that we do on a routine basis?
Well, yeah, sleep definitely is key. And I'm the type of person that if I don't get my 8 hours sleep, I don't function. Fortunately enough, I am one of those people that I put my head down on the pillow and I'm out. I know a lot of people struggle with sleep, and that definitely can, take a toll on your body as well, because, what we put our body through, we need enough time to recover and so that we can move on to, going through those grueling workouts, and the diet as well too. But yeah, definitely sleep. And I think, working on stretching, mobility, getting worked on, deep tissue massages, stuff like that, you pound your body day in and day out, that if you don't do that, that it catches up with you too. So I think that's very important for recovery.
It's funny because now that I have more focus on it, I can wake up and I can feel a difference. I can, just like the way that my chest feels, the way that, I just feel like my heart, it beats a little differently when I don't get, enough sleep.
Your energy level, your mood, everything, when you get enough sleep, your mood is different. You're happier. Everything changes when you get enough rest.
Do you implement any technology? Do you use any like wearables, any heart rate monitors, anything like that to kind of track anything when it comes to your recovery?
No, actually, I don't. I mean, I like I said, I have no issues with sleeping. When I just like to just like everything else that I do is on schedule. I do like to do, have my sleep schedule. Like I 10 o'clock is time to wind down, turn down the lights and start getting ready for, for bed. But other than that, no heart rate monitors, nothing like that. Just,
Is there anything you do track as far as like just in a notebook or in your phone? Like, obviously you track your workouts and your meals and things like that, but
yeah,
is in terms of like, okay, I feel like this today, or I'm having these certain thoughts today. Maybe it's in prep or anything like that.
I do. I like to log down my feelings. I write things down, and just I think it helps mentally, and it just helps like just putting it down on paper. It feels like you're almost like talking about what you're feeling, and it just kind of releasing a little bit of what it is that you're feeling inside. sometimes, talking to people, maybe they might not understand it, but maybe writing it down for myself, it is definitely helpful. But yeah, I do keep a log. I do.
It's funny
Of
because
everything, my food, my sleep, my this, and then how I'm feeling that day. Or, I did this workout and how did I feel about that? Little different things. Yeah, I feel it's helpful.
do you or does your coach go back and evaluate that? Like, how do you actually utilize that in terms of how can we improve?
Definitely. We go back and like, I'll go back, whether 5 weeks out last year I felt like this, and then we look back and what was it that I was doing as far as workouts, sleep, diet, but yeah, we go back and look that, especially when I'm starting the new season, and I'll go like, I want to see what I did, where was I last year in comparisons to this year. So yeah, and it's super helpful because what I felt good last year, maybe I can try it again and see if it works for me this year. So it's good to keep a log.
I think having some type of record keeping, whether that is digital or written or whatever,
Right.
because it's so hard. Like, I mean, we all have so much going on. It's so hard to just even remember what you had for lunch the day before, much
Exactly.
less how you felt after a certain thing 6 months ago. So
a lot of times too, like for example, we'll do like little testings to see like what fats work, or what like what kind of foods are good to eat like right before a stage to get that that look that we look for. So we'll do little testings like that when and then we'll log it down and say, okay, oh well, this is what my body looked like after I ate French fries and a burger, blah 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 blah, on week whatever.
yeah.
And just to see, play around with that and see how the body reacts. So
That's an interesting idea. I've never thought about it from like a technological aspect, or like it's a little bit futuristic right now, but if there was some kind of like program where you could almost like put your past history in, like your information, and you could like run through this simulated experience and know that if I eat this, this is going to like happen. And if we train like this for in prep and eat like this in prep, this is what I'm going to look like on stage. And you can input like all these different foods and sleep times. And I think that would be kind of interesting. I don't know if we're
I think there's a
there
few
yet
coaches that do
technologically.
that. Yeah, it's smart. Yeah, but also too, you never know how your body's going to respond. It might not respond the same as you did, the first time.
Right.
But yeah, it's good to keep a log and then compare it. But I know there's a lot of coaches that do that, especially when it comes to loading period, which is the 3 days before you step on stage, what we call the loading phase. And, we definitely log that, to see how, the body responds and what I ate that time that made me look a certain way.
Yeah. And so because you've had success in the sport, you mentioned that you kind of feel like you can't remember the exact word, but basically like you belong up there. You are, that's where you are now. Does it feel weird because now you have people looking up to you? You have people who are, inspired and motivated by you the same way that you were inspired and motivated by people who were there before you?
Right. Yeah, it does. It feels very weird. It feels like I don't know how to receive it sometimes when people are like, oh my God, I admire you. Or when I get from other competitors too, they're like, one Olympian girl, she's like, oh my God, I admire you so much. And I'm like, me? I mean, no, I admire you. But yeah, it's weird for me to receive that sometimes. I don't know how to take it, because I see myself there like I belong, but sometimes, I don't. I don't know. I feel like I'm still, there's still so many more girls that are better than me,
Yeah. And because of that, does it make it challenging sometimes? Because being like influential, whether you consider yourself an influencer or not, you certainly are influential. Does it feel weird ever on social media to almost like post something because like it's going to be received by different people in different ways sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, you never know how people are going to respond to it, but for the most part, it's very positive. So yeah, I feel it's great. I mean, for people will actually take my pictures and repost them, and all the support that I get from followers or admirers, and it's great. I think it's wonderful. So I'm honored.
In terms of like what you want to accomplish in the sport, of course, if you're a competitive person. You always want to win. You always want to do the best that you can do. But what would you say is the legacy that you want to leave, in your bodybuilding career?
I do this sport for myself. I love the sport. So it's, I just having everybody support me, or, having fans, that's a plus, it's a bonus. But this sport, I love everything about it. I mean, I guess maybe that's why I'm good at it, because people are like, wow, the dedication, it just comes so easily for me because I just love it. But the legacy, I mean, I don't know. I'm just happy that, that I'm here and that people see my accomplishments. I would love to be in that top 3 at the Olympia. We'll see what happens, but that's where I would want to be. I don't know. That's the plan, hopefully.
Because we have these plans, and because bodybuilding really is it's a sport to where you can do it for so long. Certainly there's limitations on an individual's capacity to do it at the highest levels for forever, but because we can do it for so long, is this something that you see like yourself continuing to compete at, even if you do drop off of that Olympia level, and it's like, I'm just doing this, I'm competing for the love of it still? Or is it like once the highest level is over, you might still enjoy parts of the lifestyle, but you may not compete?
Well, yeah. I mean, once I feel that I'm not maybe placing where I need to be, or I'm not making it to the Olympia, then definitely I think my competition days will probably be over, because my goal is just to be on that stage. And once if I'm not, making it there, then to me it's not that I will stop bodybuilding, because this is my lifestyle. I own a gym, and I love, the whole bodybuilding lifestyle. But competing wise, if I feel that I'm not doing good, I'm not just going to do that just just to be on stage, to keep on competing, because it takes a toll on your body. At some point it gets unhealthy as well, so I have to be realistic. It takes time away from my family, traveling, and, the competing part and the whole prep part, so yeah, once I feel that, I'm not placing as well, then I'll probably stop competing.
Gotcha. And so what does this upcoming season look like for you? What are some of your kind of, obviously Olympia stage, but what are some kind of your goals and plans?
I'm thinking, well, definitely in the summer. I haven't decided, which show yet, but, I always do the Tampa Pro. I love that show. I'm maybe Puerto Rico. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So I used to do like so many shows, like 5 shows, but that's when I was, chasing the points. But now it's like, hopefully I can do what I did last year, 1 show and be done and qualify for the Olympia.
That's a show that I really want to go to sometime as a Tampa Pro. I'm here in Kentucky, so it'd be a little bit of a trip, but
that's a great show. It's a big show, and it's a great show.
I really appreciate you coming on the podcast, though. It was really cool getting to chat with you and kind of learning a little bit about your journey.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. If you want to share any information, any social media or anything like that, you can go ahead and do that.
Well, my social media is IFBB Pro Jeannie Feldman. And I own a gym in Miami called Design Performance. So if anybody is in Miami, DM me and they want to come by my gym and check it out and get in a workout, I would be more than happy to have you.